the end of the game will come in a little bit. As I said, I don't want to go and do that just yet. There's a few things I want to do first. Namely, picking up those last two hidden Elder Shard fragments and corrupting the final two abilities with those two Elder Shards. I've already looked up their locations just so I don't end up searching all over the place. And as it turns out, I actually came frighteningly close to both of them. They're both in rooms that I've previously been in and explored quite a bit. I just never happened to come across them. In fact, one's location, if I'm not mistaken, I think I actually noticed. I didn't see the shot itself, but I saw a passageway that likely would have led to it. But I ended up assuming it was something else, and so I didn't follow up on it. That's the one in this area here, so the location of this Elder Shard is the room right before the big boss fight. The one with all of those laser traps that you have to go past every time you want to give that boss an attempt. Not one of their best design decisions, that's for sure. Let's just make our way over. Hopefully before I end up getting harassed by too many enemies. Interesting that, yeah, there were pretty much straight up no treasure chests in the early part of this first area. They only end up showing up in the later portion, so I was correct in my assumption that, oh yeah, they kind of aren't a thing early on in the game. So yeah, this is the room I was referring to with all the annoying laser traps. I feel like the lasers do way too much damage. Look at how quickly they wore down my shield for just like a brief moment's exposure. And look at that, I'm already taking health damage. Now, granted, you could argue that that is to encourage you slowing down and focusing on where you want to go with your platforming, but that doesn't really work with the game considering that it mostly encourages you moving quickly through the environments, with enemies harassing you and all. Anyway, yeah, this was the little area I noticed from below, and even the fact that there was one of these gates here. And I think at the time I assumed that I would be exiting the boss room, not knowing that I would just be teleported back to the sanctuary, but yep. There's that fragment. And speaking of returning to the sanctuary, let's do that. As the second one is in the second greater area. Convenient then that both the abilities left for corruption are in that area as well. So I, and you as well, will have to sit through less loading screens. Yay! I should probably cut these out, shouldn't I? But we're near enough near the end of the game. And if I have to suffer through them, then so do you, buddy boy. So do you. This tip is so inaccurate now. Overwhelmed? Use the cannon, yeah. I feel like... early on, I mentioned this before, the cannon was really good, but it hasn't scaled up well. I think the intention is that if you want the cannon to be good, you have to build specifically for that. Trying to go for ability nodes that give you cannon damage boosts, which I haven't been, and also having a perk setup that boosts the efficacy of the cannon, its damage, reducing the knockback, giving you ammo regeneration. I think that's the big one. Because if your ammo is constantly regenerating, you're not nearly as limited in its uses as you normally are, and thus it becomes overall a lot more usable. It is still hamstrung, in my opinion, by the biggest constraint, and that is the energy drain. You use energy for, well, technically only one other thing, but it's a thing you're using a lot, and that's your dodge roll. Whether the regular roll or the air dash. Both are useful for evading attacks, navigating through the environment, and if you pick up the stinger, for attacking as well, since the stinger is pretty powerful. I realize I haven't been making use of it too much, but on the occasions where I do remember to use it, it does come in pretty handy. This is not a good example of that because these enemies are weak anyway. Look at that though, 684 damage, and I'm not even sure if that was a crit. It's a strong attack is what I'm saying. But yeah, you have so many instances in which you're going to consume energy that also having the cannon consume it just isn't that great, in my opinion. Oh wow, I guess there's a whole bunch of places here I never explored fully. What's that about? Because given the icons are faded, I did fight that mini-boss and I did go into that lore room, but these interconnecting rooms are gone off the map. I'm just gonna guess that's a glitch. Anyway, the location of this Elder Shard is along this rightmost wall. That looks silly sliding down like that. Yep, here it is. Much easier to collect since I have the Kumo-chan power. Alright, so that's one ability shrine down there and one over there. They're both fairly close by, so this... should be fairly painless. I don't know why I stopped talking over that. It's a line I've heard many times before. Kinda wish they had more variety of those when you pick up Elder Shards. It's not like they'd need all that many considering there are only a few abilities you can corrupt. I don't remember what ability shrine this is. Is this the air dash? Okay, I gotta admit that is a pretty awesome upgrade. Although it's probably not going to be too useful for me considering I have a huge amount of trouble actually using this move on the fly. But the fact that it's stronger at all should come in handy, I hope. Again though, I can't really test it here because the enemies in this area, even the toughest ones, the highest variants in the Endless Hordes area, aren't really all that much of a threat to me at this point. I say that now, but watch me end up going into one of those areas and getting my face torn off. But even so, they are generally weak enough that I can't really test out the efficacy of that ability, its power, its strength, its sheer brute force. I would need to fight something in the third area to have a good test. And since there's nothing for me there anymore, at least as far as I'm aware, there's not really reason to do that. Oh yeah, I don't think I ever showed this off, but climbing up this room, even once you have all these platforms about, is kind of really annoying. I can't even use the Kumo-chan power to make it a bit easier because it's not quite a sheer vertical face. There's enough diagonals that I can't quite go up. Now it's a sheer vertical face so I can go up the rest of the way. But having to do those slow jumps across those tiny platforms is just... it's more frustrating than it needs to be. I don't see why they couldn't have just made it a series of stairways all the way up. At least that would have made using it as something of a means of fast travel less annoying. Of course, the best way to handle it would be to just make it a proper fast travel thing. But nope, they had to save that for the third area for some reason. Yeah, I'm gonna keep complaining about that until I beat this game. Which means you won't have to suffer through that too much more because I'm pretty sure I'm right at the end. From what I've seen just of some other people streaming the game, I've not seen too deeply, but I don't even think there's necessarily a final area. I think it might just be the final boss, which knowing this game will probably end up taking me a while, but with how I edit, it will probably end up being a shorter than usual episode. I'm not sure. You know what? This is an okay test of my new charge-up power, and maybe I'll get a good perk upgrade. Let's see how it goes. Oh yeah, what with the fact that I'm restoring my shields every hit I do, and the fact that I'm taking out these guys in like 3 or 4 hits. Yeah, this shouldn't be an issue at all. Looks like I'm one-shotting them, or nearly so, with the charge move. Yeah, look at that. That is some strong power. So the charge move now does like 3 or 4 times the damage of my regular attacks. If I could manage to do the input more reliably, this would definitely help a lot in the combat. Alas, though, I have trouble doing it in the thick of things. And yeah, that combo right there of charging up and then plunging down is really good in a lot of situations. I think I mentioned that before. That's probably how you're supposed to handle the more difficult combat encounters. Is, you know, actually using all your combat techniques, which I often fail to do. Apparently there are a few stragglers left. Let's just take care of these boys. And see, right there, for a few attacks I was trying to do the charge up, but it failed a bunch. I'm just not good at reliably doing the input. Now let's see what I picked up. Harvester rank 2. That is kind of pointless. That was a waste of time. Great. Oh well, more likely than not I was gonna get a perk I wasn't interested in. I was just hoping on the long odds. It's fine. It wasn't too much of a waste of time. Let's just go on to the ability room and see what the upgraded air dash is like. I think I theorized before that it was probably a distance boost, slash maybe also causing it to do damage. That's an upgrade I could see them doing. Oh yeah, even without shield piercer, the cultists are... what? No threat to me now. What? I have not seen this one before. Is this like an Easter egg or something? What's going on here? Can I strike this? My skin toughens. Okay. And I'm guessing that's permanent since it's an element on my HUD, or maybe it's just a temporary buff for this one. Oh, these placards say something. Stepchild of the Sun, Elizabeth Donnell, Peter Lungrath, Chris Jacobs. I'm pretty sure this was a Kickstarter game. Is this a Kickstarter backer thing? Like these people's likenesses? And I guess in story they're probably fallen Valkyrie warriors. Like, why is this the first time I'm coming across this? Is this just a random thing that can happen with a generation? Or have I just been somehow missing these things the entire time? I'm hoping it's not some form of completion percentage, because I would like to beat this game with as much as possible. But I'm not exactly going to be searching for any more of those, especially since I don't even really know what they're properly about. Alright, well that's all abilities corrupted, and I am now embraced according to that Steam Chivo. Hey, Azathoth! That's a Lovecraft Elder God. Oh, that is incredibly useful. I kind of wish I had picked up this earlier on. So now it's just a straight up teleport, which means it can be done in all directions. Or since it's digital input, 8 directions. But still, look at that. That is so much more a useful ability. That gives me so much more aerial maneuverability. And look at the HUD down there. That buff icon I picked up is draining, so it very much is a temporary thing. Weird then that I only came across one of those now, right when I'm about to finish the game. Guess that's just luck of the draw. Alright, well if I'm not mistaken, I think I've picked up every collectible now. I've gotten every Elder Shard, I've beaten every boss. I've corrupted every ability. I guess I haven't gotten all the perks. Yeah, there's still 2 perks I'm completely missing. And plenty more that I've not maxed out. I don't know if that counts for completion percentage or not. If it does, I'm not gonna bother. I don't really care all that much. I forget, I think it was just picking up random damage nodes, wasn't I? Just because, I have seen a little bit of the final boss of this game, and it looked fairly tanky, which is why I'm trying to focus on damage here. Alright, well, let's go get a good look at the final boss then. That was a spoopy transition. Although, still being able to see the mini-map and the treasure chest on it made it kind of amusing. Natag Ale. No one has ever seen it, these rad dance moves. Okay, there is a proper area here. I guess I hadn't seen as much of the final stuff as I thought. New enemies, Nox variants, okay. Shield Piercer would help here with these hunter jerks. Oh, I'm still not used to the, new teleport animation. I keep thinking I'm not teleporting because of how it ends up looking. Okay, wow. Yep, these enemies are fairly tough. Even with my good perk combo, I'm having some issues here. It doesn't help that yeah, because of the fact that I end up doing a proper teleport, it's harder to tell where I actually end up. So in that way, this upgrade is actually kind of a downgrade for me at least, which is not great. The enemies don't look to be too dense here, and I think they might have stopped spawning somewhat. But I'm sure that'll only get worse as time goes on, so I just gotta keep on going. And I keep on going, and I keep on going, or not, because I die. Shit, where am I? You'd think that I would have an easier time telling where Esh is, because everything else is mostly dark, but nope. It's still hard to piece out Esh from the crowd. I looked at a little bit of a Jotun, this developer's previous game, Let's Play, and the whole being able to tell where your character is on the screen at a moment's notice is even worse in that game. And even though it's slightly better here, they really haven't improved it all that much, and that's kind of a huge issue. Like, the art in these games is some of the best I've seen in a video game. In fact, I might even consider it better than what I used to consider the King's Vanillaware. The people behind Odin's Sphere, Dragon's Crown, and some other really gorgeous games. But while this game might have superior art just in terms of fidelity and sheer fluidity of animation, it ends up being worse overall because it doesn't actually work well as game art. It's hard to tell what's going on, it's hard to tell where your character is. That's something that Vanillaware are masters at, so even if the actual fidelity and fluidity of the animations aren't quite as good, it still ends up working better for a game overall, and thus is better. Alright, well that seems to be it for enemies. I kinda used all my shards though, so hopefully I've made some amount of progress here. You certainly did. I don't think I would have made it this far without all of these corrupted abilities. Maybe I would though, since Burning Shards does get you some unique abilities that probably would have helped. Okay, we got more coming in. I probably should have saved the health use, but whatever. Yeah, I might want to slot back on Shield Pierce if I'm going to be dealing with cultists. Oh, I got Devourers too. I hope I don't have to go through the first gauntlet again. If so, this may take a few attempts. I am doing pretty good damage though, even though these are high tier enemies, so that's good. Maybe it would be a good idea to toss on that perk that gives me extra health shard drops, because more of those would definitely come in handy. The issue with that though is I would lose the ability, I would have to get rid of a lot of my current perks, which means either reducing the base amount of damage I do with my melee attacks, the shield regeneration on attacks, or the rebirth. If I want to slot in both Shield Piercer and whatchamacallit, the other thing I was talking about, I would have to get rid of 2 of those perks, and that's kinda not great. There are no easy choices here is what I'm saying. Okay, let's take out these jerk-ass cultists. They are getting really fucking annoying. At least the Screamers are pretty much non-entities at this point. They used to be so dangerous, but now that I can just bat aside their projectiles with my melee spam, they're not too much of a threat. Alright, still got a few more cultists it seems like. Let's go take care of them. And I think there's only one left. Where are you, buddy? There you are. I do wish there was greater enemy variety in this game. It's not bad, but it definitely could be a little bit better. They rely a little too much on palette swaps. Or if not wholly new enemy types, then making those palette swaps more distinct. As it is, the stronger variants of enemies just have longer or more numerous variants of their regular attacks, you know? More charges, more projectiles in a row, etc. They don't have new stuff for the most part. Okay, now we have grabby hands, so I guess I have to be careful with my positioning, and that's along with dealing with these enemies. I'm guessing this is the final round, but I doubt I'm gonna survive, since all I have left is my revival. I mean, I kind of got rid of everything here, but there's whatever else lies ahead. God damn it, that revival skill is so insanely good. I can't believe it doesn't tell you that it does that explosion on revival, because that is easily the best thing about the ability. But you're never gonna know that unless you test it out. Come on, give me one of my cannon uses back. Give me energy. Oh, I'm out of ammo. Whoops. I didn't realize I had used up all my ammunition. I thought it was just an energy cost thing. Oh well, I probably wasn't gonna survive for too much longer. I guess I'll pick up more damage upgrades. I was working on one of those nodes. Here it is. Let me just double check to make sure there aren't any of these larger nodes that would still be useful. I could do with more energy, that's for sure. Or faster energy regeneration. Oh, 30% armor boost. That's actually pretty solid. This will give me +7 armor, which is an extra 15% damage reduction. And I'm actually pretty close to it. I think I'll focus on there for now. Hopefully, though, I won't actually be able to get that because getting it means getting a lot more shards, which means a lot more attempts at this final area. Let's see if at the very least I'm started back at that final round or if I have to do it from the start. Okay, it looks like I might have to do it from the start. That's not great. I also just realized that this charge move actually has 2 levels to it. Oh, this is cool though. It's not the exact same. It's a slightly different room configuration and slightly different enemies. There weren't any worms last time. That's actually cool that it changes a little bit. Oh yeah, Pans is here as well. Okay, so that actually keeps things fresh even if you have to do it multiple times, but that's kind of screwing me over because holy shit. I just could not deal with all of those charging enemies. Wow, I think I might have blown my shot at having a smooth chance with this. Because I didn't have too much trouble with the previous enemy spawns. These ones are troubling me quite a bit. And I've already lost way too much of my resources. Yeah, there's no way I'm gonna make it this time. Ah, damn it. I can tell you right now, if this is how it's gonna go, this is gonna be a whole bunch of trial and error, which I'm not exactly excited about. Let's just wait for these to fade out. I don't want to rush now, so close to the presumed finish. If there's another round after this that I'm just not prepared for, I'm gonna be so upset. Please stop causing gas bubbles. I just want to get a decent approach. I think that's it. Yes, loading screen. Okay, hopefully that was a checkpoint. Even if I don't have all of my, stuff refilled, as long as it checkpoints me here, I should be fine. Oh hey, it's me. Hi, me. Wanna meditate together? I can't really go in a meditation pose here. Okay, guess I'm gonna have to attack her. Esh, beacon of hope. Yep. Oh, and she too has a shield. But it seems she has the normal variants. She doesn't have the Eldritch upgrades. Interesting. I wonder if I should rock shield PSA here. Being able to ignore her shield would help a lot, I think. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that should have checkpointed me. So let's consider changing my perk setup. I feel like in a mirror match fight, my shield coming back isn't going to be as important. It's going to be easier getting away, which means I can rely on my natural shield regeneration. The shield leech is mostly useful in the more chaotic situations where there's so much stuff to hit, and I can't really get enough peace for that regular shield regeneration to kick in. So yeah, let's swap that out for shield piercer. Oh, not enough for the armor upgrade. Well, let's see if that did indeed checkpoint me. If it didn't, I might just give up here as close as I am to the end. I just don't want to have to go through that gauntlet again. Let's see, game developers, were you lenient or utterly mercilessly cruel? Okay, good. I was checkpointed. Thank Nyarlathotep. And hey girl, I'm doing damage directly to your health bar. Oh, you don't have Eldritch perks? Well, too bad for you. That's the power of Eldritch power, baby. Wow, she's really evasive. Wonder if I can bait her into a charge move. Oh, yep, that's gonna be the most effective way of handling this, I think. Unless she does a cannon from a distance, okay. She actually has a few tricks up her sleeve. Maybe bait out the cannon in the air, and then try and go for a charge attack. Now, her AI is actually fairly reactive enough that I'm not going to be able to rely on basic cheesy tricks, I think. Although I can on occasion, I'm just going to have to get in the hits where I can and dodge on the fly. Why would you do that up move? We both know that attack is fucking useless. God though, why is her cannon so strong? Why can't mine do that much damage? Let's actually see just how strong my cannon is. How much damage it does to her health bar. Once I get back some energy. Yeah, wow, she just has a much more massive health bar than me, I guess. Friggin' cheater. Okay. I keep charging into her cannon blast, which always ends up screwing me over due to its ridiculously massive damage. Also, one of the unfortunate things about being stuck here is that because there's nothing I can defeat on the way to beating her, like say the lesser minions in one of the bigger boss fights, I can't pick up shards, which means I can't increase my strength. Unless I want to go farm regular enemies out in the world, this is as strong as I'm gonna get. Which means there's nothing for it but to get good. Just gonna surprise her with a charge attack right from the get-go, and she responded in kind. Yeah, I can use charge attacks, I just don't have enough time to charge them up fully for the most part. That just leaves me as a sitting duck for her cannon. You know, one issue with this fight, while she is overall lighter than I am, I guess to go along with the fact that she's uncorrupted and a beacon of hope, you know, I wonder if she's actually another person fighting against me if I'm the villain here. That would make sense since I'm working for Nyarlathotep and all. I'm going along with his eldritch plans. But I wonder if she is an actual separate person named Ash, or if she's like, this is a battle in the mind sort of thing. Alright, so it seems that if I knock her back with the charge attack, she is vulnerable for a little bit. Which lets me get off a few melee strikes. Not if she's charging her cannon though, that's something I need to keep in mind. But yeah, I was talking about her appearance. Even though it is a bit different than mine, it's still close enough that I actually lose track of who I'm controlling. Like, there's also the fact that they have a purple aura around you and a golden one around her. That's actually a good bit of distinction, something that the game could have used before now in some of the more zoomed out fights. But even with that, it's still pretty hard to tell which Ash I'm controlling all the time. I guess there's just no easy way to do that, in which case, maybe they shouldn't have had a mirror match fight in this game. Not if they couldn't come up with a good way to always make who's who distinct. Ooh, I just realized, I don't think she has the stinger. She didn't explore quite as thoroughly as I did. So maybe I should rely on that since it is fairly strong. Okay, yep, that does about as much damage as my full charge attack. And in a much quicker time. That's what I'm gonna want to rely on. I just gotta get the positioning down. And I can even roll through her cannon shots as long as I time it well. Just gotta make sure I have plenty of energy to do that stuff. But yeah, it's kind of crazy just how strong the Stinger is. I guess that's to reward you for going into that optional hell zone, because that easily was the worst Endless Hordes area in the game. Ooh, okay, I thought I mistimed my dodge roll for a second there and was really worried. Alright, well, she's nearly dead, but she's obviously going to have a second form. The question is whether the fight will be checkpointed at that point if I end up dying, and I almost certainly will, or if I'll have to fight the first phase again. If I have to fight the first phase again, I'm gonna have to get much better at fighting her, just so I can get through her without wasting so much of my resources, and to do so more quickly and more efficiently so I don't go mad. But it's just a matter of doing enough attempts to just get used to her patterns. Already I'm actually getting somewhat used to how she approaches things. Ooh, I wonder if a fully charged attack followed by a stinger would work out well. It might. So try and bait out the mid-air cannon attack. That's what leaves her most vulnerable for a charge up. That works too. Oh, but she responded well. Just gonna finish off with some stingers, I think, just so I can get to the next phase. One more should do it. Okay, humanity. Humanity is the true Elder God. Okay, I think I know how this is gonna go. I'm gonna have to strike this thing, and wow. First of all, it does a lot of damage, and I don't do much damage. Also, yeah, I guess it's just a matter of getting in the right spot. Okay,